Juan Pablo Aristizabal from Colombia in T2 is P1. Juan Martin Acuna from Colombia in Rodriguez International Horseshoe is P2 on mediums. Juan Pablo Aristizabal is P1. Juan Martin Acuna in T10 is first. Jean-Pierre Ferrand from Colombia in T10 is second on softs. J.Enriquez from Colombia in T9 is P3 on mediums. Juan Martin Acuna is P5 on softs. Juan Martin Acuna is up 5.39 in T4. Juan Martin Acuna is up 11.40 in T7. "15 minutes remaining in the session. Juan Pablo Aristizabal in backstretch is P1 up 1.98. Best lap is a 140.203. Juan Pablo Aristizabal is up 1.94 in front stretch. Juan Pablo Aristizabal improved his first with a 138.261. Jean-Pierre Ferrand in Rodriguez International Horseshoe is P6 up 15.28. Juan Carlos Guerin from Colombia in T13 is third on mediums. Jean-Pierre Ferrand from Colombia in T2 is P6 up 11.60. J.Enriquez is fourth up 0.75. J.Enriquez is up 0.94 in T10. J.Enriquez is up 1.33 in front stretch. J.Enriquez improved his P2 with a 139.898. 1.637 off pole. Juan Carlos Guerin in front stretch is P5 up 0.55. Juan Carlos Guerin improved his P2 with a 139.665. 1.404 off pole. Santiago Idarraga from Spain in T12 is P5 up 0.27 on softs. Santiago Idarraga improved his P4 with a 139.754. 1.493 off pole. Santiago Idarraga is up 0.36 in T2. Juan Carlos Guerin is P2. Juan Carlos Guerin is up 0.52 in T6. Juan Martin Acuna is P3. Juan Martin Acuna is up 0.17 in T9. Juan Martin Acuna is up 0.29 in T13. Juan Martin Acuna improved his second with a 139.373. 1.112 off pole. Jean-Pierre Ferrand in front stretch is P6 up 14.45. Juan Martin Acuna in Rodriguez International Horseshoe is P3 up 0.13. Jean-Pierre Ferrand in T1 is P4. Jean-Pierre Ferrand is up 0.20 in T5. 10 minutes remaining in the session. Jean-Pierre Ferrand is up 0.55 in T8. Jean-Pierre Ferrand is up 0.56 in bus stop. Jean-Pierre Ferrand improved his P3 with a 139.299. 1.038 off pole. Santiago Idarraga in T13 is P5. Best lap is a 139.754. 1.493 off pole. Juan Pablo Aristizabal in T12 is P1 on softs. Best lap is a 138.261. Jean-Pierre Ferrand in T2 is P3 on mediums. Best lap is a 139.299. 1.038 off pole. J.Enriquez in T8 is 6th. Best lap is a 139.898. 1.637 off pole. Juan Carlos Guerin in Rodriguez International Horseshoe is 2nd. Best lap is a 138.967. 0.706 off pole. J.Enriquez in T1 is P6. Juan Pablo Aristizabal in Rodriguez International Horseshoe is 1st. Jean-Pierre Ferrand from Colombia in T1 is 3rd. Juan Martin Acuna in T1 is 4th on softs. Jean-Pierre Ferrand in T5 is 3rd up 0.23. Juan Martin Acuna in Rodriguez International Horseshoe is P4 up 0.23 on softs. Juan Martin Acuna is up 0.22 in T6. Juan Martin Acuna is up 0.27 in T10. 5 minutes remaining in the session. Santiago Idarraga is P5 up 0.62 on softs. Santiago Idarraga is up 0.46 in T9. Santiago Idarraga is up 0.25 in T12. Santiago Idarraga improved is 5th with a 139.555. 1.294 off pole. Jean-Pierre Ferrand in T11 is P3 up 0.21. Best lap is a 139.240. 0.979 off pole. Jean-Pierre Ferrand improved his P3 with a 139.035. 0.774 off pole. Santiago Idarraga in T6 is P5 up 0.11. Juan Carlos Guerin in T9 is second up 0.14. Juan Carlos Guerin is up 0.21 in T13. Juan Carlos Guerin improved his second with a 138.821. 0.560 off pole. Juan Carlos Guerin is up 0.14 in T2. Juan Carlos Guerin is up 0.11 in T5. Juan Carlos Guerin is up 0.13 in T8. Juan Carlos Guerin is up 0.05 in bus stop. Juan Martin Acuna in T1 is P4. Juan Martin Acuna is up 0.02 in T5. Juan Martin Acuna is up 0.02 in T9. The qualifying session is now in overtime. J.Enriquez is sixth. Juan Martin Acuna in front stretch is fourth. Best lap is a 139.373. 1.112 off pole. Juan Martin Acuna is up 28.04 in T13. The race session is at Daytona International Speedway, sports car course in Daytona Beach, Florida, USA. The wind speed is 8 km/h from the east. Director entering the pits is P15. Juan Pablo Aristizabal is P1. Race start. Juan Pablo Aristizabal is first. Juan Carlos Guerin from Colombia in front stretch is P1 on mediums. J.Enriquez from Colombia is fourth on mediums. Juan Martin Acuna from Colombia is third on softs. Jean-Pierre Ferrand exiting pits on mediums. J.Enriquez in T10 is P4. Juan Martin Acuna in front stretch is P3, 0.5 ahead of J.Enriquez. J.Enriquez is P4. 0.5 behind Juan Martin Acuna. T9 on lap 2 is P1 on softs, 2.2 ahead of Santiago Idarraga. Juan Martin Acuna is fourth, 0.1 behind J.Enriquez. Juan Martin Acuna passed J.Enriquez for P3. Juan Martin Acuna entering the pits is fourth. Juan Martin Acuna exiting pits on softs. Juan Martin Acuna lost third to J.Enriquez. Juan Pablo Aristizabal in backstretch is first, 2.5 ahead of Santiago Idarraga. Jean-Pierre Ferrand from Colombia in T6 is 6th on mediums. J.Enriquez from Colombia is 3rd. Juan Pablo Aristizabal in T8 is 1st. Best lap is a 1:39.360. Juan Carlos Guerin in T6 is P6. Juan Martin Acuna in T12 is P5, 4.6 ahead of Juan Carlos Guerin. Juan Martin Acuna is now 4th. Juan Martin Acuna entering the pits is P4. J.Enriquez in T8 is 3rd. Juan Martin Acuna exiting pits on softs. Juan Carlos Guerin in T8 is 4th. Santiago Idarraga from Spain is 2nd on softs. Juan Pablo Aristizabal in T9 is P1. Juan Martin Acuna entering the pits is P6. Jean-Pierre Ferrand in T12 on lap 5 is P5. Santiago Idarraga is P2. Jean-Pierre Ferrand is P5. Best lap is a 1:39.498. 0.515 off the fastest lap. Juan Pablo Aristizabal in T12 on lap 7 is P1. Juan Carlos Guerin from Colombia in backstretch is P4. Juan Pablo Aristizabal from Colombia is first. J.Enriquez in T8 is third on mediums. Jean-Pierre Ferrand in front stretch is fifth on mediums. J.Enriquez from Colombia is third. Juan Pablo Aristizabal in T9 on lap 9 is P1. J.Enriquez in bus stop is third. Juan Pablo Aristizabal entering the pits is P1. Juan Pablo Aristizabal is P2 on softs, 3.3 behind Santiago Idarraga. Jean-Pierre Ferrand in T2 is P5. Juan Pablo Aristizabal is third on mediums. Juan Pablo Aristizabal exiting pits on mediums. Juan Carlos Courin in Rodriguez International Horseshoe is P4. Best lap is a 1:39.559. 0.576 off the fastest lap. Santiago Idarraga in T13 is P1. Santiago Idarraga entering the pits is P1. Jean-Pierre Ferrand in Rodriguez International Horseshoe is 5th. Santiago Idarraga is 2nd. Santiago Idarraga exiting pits. Santiago Idarraga lost P3 to Juan Carlos Courin. Juan Carlos Courin is P3, 2.0 behind Juan Pablo Aristizabal. Jean-Pierre Ferrand in T1 is 5th. Juan Pablo Aristizabal in T1 is 2nd, 1.7 ahead of Juan Carlos Courin. J.Enriquez in T8 is 1st. Juan Carlos Courin in T9 is P3, 1.8 behind Juan Pablo Aristizabal. Jean-Pierre Ferrand from Colombia in T4 is 5th. Juan Carlos Guerin is 3rd, 2.4 behind Juan Pablo Aristizabal. Jean-Pierre Ferrand in T13 is P5. Juan Pablo Aristizabal in T13 is P2, 1.9 ahead of Juan Carlos Guerin. Jean-Pierre Ferrand is 5th. Best lap is a 1:39.085. 0.319 off the fastest lap. Santiago Idarraga in T5 is 4th. Juan Carlos Guerin in bus stop on lap 14 is 3rd, 2.5 behind Juan Pablo Aristizabal. Juan Pablo Aristizabal from Colombia in T1 is 2nd, 2.0 ahead of Juan Carlos Guerin. Santiago Idarraga in T4 is 4th. Jean-Pierre Ferrand from Colombia in front stretch is 5th. J.Enriquez entering the pits is 1st. J.Enriquez is 1st. Santiago Idarraga in T13 is P4. Santiago Idarraga is now P3. J.Enriquez is P4. J.Enriquez exiting pits on softs. Santiago Idarraga in T5 is third on mediums. Jean-Pierre Ferrand in T2 is fifth. J.Enriquez is P4 on softs. Jean-Pierre Ferrand in T10 is P5. Juan Carlos Guerin in backstretch is P2, 3.6 behind Juan Pablo Aristizabal. Aristizabal in front stretch is first, 3.6 ahead of Juan Carlos Guerin. Juan Pablo Aristizabal was 1.2 faster last lap. Jean-Pierre Ferrand is P5. J.Enriquez in T5 is fourth. Santiago Idarraga is third. Juan Carlos Guerin entering the pits is P2. Juan Carlos Guerin is second. Santiago Idarraga in T1 is second. Juan Carlos Guerin is P4 on softs. Juan Carlos Guerin exiting pits on softs. Jean-Pierre Perrin entering the pits is fifth. Jean-Pierre Ferrand is P1. Santiago Idarraga in backstretch is second on mediums. Juan Carlos Guerin in backstretch is fourth. Jean-Pierre Ferrand exiting pits on softs. J.Enriquez in Rodriguez International Horseshoe is P3. Jean-Pierre Ferrand in T13 is P5 on softs battling Juan Carlos Guerin. Juan Pablo Aristizabal in front stretch on lap 21 is P1. Juan Carlos Guerin in T13 is P4. Juan Pablo Aristizabal in T9 is P1. Santiago Idarraga in T11 is second. Juan Pablo Aristizabal in Rodriguez International Horseshoe is P1. Juan Carlos Guerin in T1 is 4th. Jean-Pierre Perrin from Colombia in T11 is P5. Juan Pablo Aristizabal in T1 is P1. J.Enriquez in Rodriguez International Horseshoe is 3rd. Santiago Idarraga in T8 is P2. Front stretch is 5th. Best lap is a 1:37.864. J.Enriquez in T1 is 3rd. Jean-Pierre Ferrand in T9 is 5th. Santiago Idarraga in T11 is 2nd on mediums. Jean-Pierre Parent is P5. J.Enriquez in T4 is P3. Juan Carlos Guerin in T5 is P4. J.Enriquez from Colombia in T13 is third. Juan Carlos Guerin is P4. Santiago Idarraga in backstretch is P2. The leader has just finished the race. Juan Pablo Aristizabal finished first. Santiago Idarraga is second. Santiago Idarraga finished second. J.Enriquez is P3. J.Enriquez finished third. Juan Carlos Guerin finished P4. Jean-Pierre Parent is P5. Jean-Pierre Parent finished P5.